Do you truly think for yourself, or are you just echoing what you hear? We all love the comfort of agreement, but what if that comfort is silently stealing your independent thought? This video will challenge you to look beyond the consensus and uncover the real source of your beliefs. We are living inside invisible prisons. They are built not of stone and steel, but of algorithms, social circles, and our own psychological wiring. These prisons are called echo chambers, and their walls are getting higher every day. It all begins with a seductive and deeply human desire: the comfort of agreement. It feels good to be validated. It feels safe to know that others share our view of the world. Evolutionarily, this makes sense. Belonging to a tribe meant survival. Dissent meant exile, which was a death sentence. Today, this ancient instinct is being weaponized. Not by a conscious enemy, but by the very systems we created to connect us. When you open your social media feed, you are not seeing the world. You are seeing a mirror. The algorithms, in their quest to keep you engaged, have become unwitting architects of your reality. Their primary goal is to show you more of what you already like, more of what you already agree with. Every like, every share, every second you spend watching a video is a vote. You are telling the machine, "Give me more of this," and the machine obeys. It builds a digital fortress around you, filtering out dissenting opinions and amplifying voices that sound just like yours. This creates a powerful psychological reward, the dopamine hit of validation. Each time you see a headline that confirms your bias, or a comment that echoes your exact thought, your brain releases a small burst of pleasure. It's a chemical signal that says, "You are right, you are safe, you belong." We become addicted to this feeling. We scroll for hours, not in search of new information, but in search of this comforting drug of confirmation. We are no longer exploring the world. We are reinforcing our map of it. This constant reinforcement leads to the erosion of original thought. The line between a shared opinion and a personal truth begins to blur. Think about a belief you hold strongly. Can you trace it back to its origin? Can you remember the exact moment you formed that opinion based on independent research and critical thinking? Or did it simply seep into your consciousness through repeated exposure? When you hear the same idea 1,000 times from 1,000 different sources within your chamber, it stops being an opinion and starts feeling like an undeniable fact. This is how consensus becomes conviction without any intellectual labor. Within these chambers, dissent is silently suppressed. The social risk of challenging the group's norms feels too high, even online. Questioning a widely held belief in your circle can lead to being ostracized, labeled as a traitor, or worse. The fear of social exile, that ancient survival instinct, kicks in. So, we stay silent, we self-censor, we choose belonging over truth. This creates a dangerous feedback loop. The fewer dissenting voices we hear, the more certain we become that our view is the only correct one. Over time, we lose the why. We forget the journey we took to arrive at a belief. We only remember the destination. We can passionately defend a position, but if pressed, we can't articulate the foundational arguments for it. We are left with a strong conviction, but a weak foundation. Our beliefs become hollow structures, easily toppled by the first serious challenge, which is why we react so aggressively when they are questioned. We are not defending a thought. We are defending an identity built on a fragile consensus. The echo chamber doesn't just tell us what to think. It makes us forget how to think. But these echoes are not confined to our screens. The real world is just as partitioned. Our closest circles of family and friends inadvertently create micro-echo chambers offline. we naturally gravitate toward people who share our values, our politics, and our sense of humor. While this creates strong bonds, it also means we are rarely exposed to genuinely different perspectives in a context of trust and respect. Conversations with loved ones often become rituals of mutual reinforcement rather than explorations of new ideas. Challenging a deeply held family belief can feel like an act of betrayal. The media we consume further hardens these walls. News sources, podcasts, and even entertainment are increasingly tailored to specific demographics. They speak our language, validate our worldview, and frame the other side as either foolish, evil, or insane. We are not just choosing a news channel, we are choosing a reality. This creates a landscape where two people can look at the same event and see two completely different stories, both backed by their own set of facts and experts. Even the world of expertise is not immune. Professionals, scientists, and academics can fall prey to groupthink within their own fields. A dominant theory can become so entrenched that challenging it is career suicide. Journals refuse to publish dissenting research. Conferences become echo chambers for the established paradigm. This echo chamber of expertise stifles innovation and can lead entire fields down the wrong path for decades. The very people we trust to be objective are often trapped in their own intellectual bubbles. The first step to escaping this repetitive loop is to deliberately search for cognitive dissonance. You must actively seek out intelligent, well-reasoned opposing viewpoints. This is not about hate reading or looking for fights. It is about finding the strongest possible argument against your own position and trying to understand it from the inside. Follow thinkers you disagree with, not to mock them, but to learn from them. If you cannot articulate the best version of your opponent's argument, you do not truly understand your own. This practice is uncomfortable. It feels like a threat. But it is the only way to ensure your beliefs are battle-tested and not just inherited. The next step is to fact-check your feelings. In an echo chamber, our emotional responses are amplified. We learn to feel outrage, fear, or righteousness on cue. Before you accept a widely held belief, especially one that triggers a strong emotion in you, stop. Separate the emotional charge from the verifiable information. Ask yourself, is this true, or does it just feel true because everyone in my circle is saying it? Learn to question your own gut reactions. They have been trained by the algorithm, not by reality. This leads to the art of independent inquiry. Before you adopt a new belief, become a detective. Ask yourself a series of critical questions. Who benefits from me believing this? What is the original source of this information? Have I heard this from multiple independent sources outside of my usual circle? What are the potential flaws in this argument? What am I not being told? This process is slow. It is difficult. It requires more effort than simply clicking share. But it is the price of intellectual sovereignty. It is the work required to build a mind that is a fortress, not a prison. The echo chamber thrives on passivity. The escape begins with active, relentless questioning. Reclaiming your inner voice requires a specific kind of courage. The courage to think differently. It is the willingness to embrace the discomfort of standing apart from the crowd. Our tribal brains are wired to see consensus as safety. Standing alone feels like standing on the edge of a cliff. You will be tempted to retreat to the warmth and safety of the group. But true growth only happens outside the comfort zone. You must be willing to be misunderstood, to be temporarily disliked, to be the lone voice of dissent in the room. To do this, you must cultivate critical curiosity. Stop viewing information as something to be consumed. Start viewing it as something to be interrogated. Approach every headline, every study, every viral video with a healthy dose of skepticism. This isn't about becoming a cynic who believes nothing. It is about becoming a discerning thinker who proportions their belief to the evidence. The goal is not to have no beliefs, but to have beliefs that you have earned through your own intellectual labor. Ultimately, the goal is to build your own belief architecture. An echo chamber provides you with a prefabricated house of beliefs. It is comfortable, but it is not yours. The work of a true thinker is to be both the architect and the builder of their own mind. You must examine the foundation. Are your core principles based on reason and evidence, or on emotion and social pressure? You must check the walls. Are your arguments logically sound, or are they full of holes? You must inspect the roof. Are your conclusions protecting you from the storms of reality, or are they leaking? This process ensures that your thoughts are built on a foundation of independent reasoning, not just repetition. It means your mind is a sanctuary, a place of genuine inquiry and strength, rather than an echo chamber where old ideas go to die. It is the difference between having a mind and being a mind. The choice, as always, is yours. We have explored how the walls are built. Now we must understand why we defend them so violently. The deepest trap of the echo chamber is not just intellectual, it is existential. It happens when your beliefs stop being things you have and start being things you are. This is the fusion of opinion and identity. In a healthy intellectual environment, ideas are like clothes. You try them on. You see if they fit. If they get worn out or proven wrong, you change them. But in the echo chamber, ideas are like skin. To question an idea is to tear at your own flesh. This is why political and social debates today do not feel like exchanges of information. They feel like battles for survival. When you tie your self-worth to a specific ideology, every counter-argument feels like a physical attack. The brain actually processes intellectual disagreement in the same regions that process physical threats. The echo chamber exploits this biological glitch. It convinces you that we are not just correct, but righteous, and that they are not just wrong, but evil. This binary thinking is the death of intelligence. It reduces the infinite complexity of the human experience into two categories: friend or enemy, saint or sinner. Once you view the other as morally inferior, you no longer need to listen to them. In fact, listening to them becomes a moral failing. You block, you mute, you unfollow, you purify your feed. But in doing so, you purify your mind of any challenge that could make it stronger. You are left in a sterile room, hearing only the applause of people who are exactly like you. This creates the false consensus effect. Because you only see agreement, you begin to believe that everyone agrees with you. You assume your worldview is the default, the obvious, the only sane way to see reality. When you finally encounter someone from outside the chamber, their disagreement shocks you. You cannot comprehend how they could possibly think that way. You don't think they are misinformed. You think they are insane. This inability to simulate the mind of the opponent is a sign of cognitive atrophy. Just like a muscle that is never used, your empathy withers away. The echo chamber also weaponizes language. Notice how specific groups develop their own vocabulary. Buzzwords, acronyms, and slang that serve as secret handshakes. If you know the words, you are in. If you don't, you are out. This linguistic barrier makes it nearly impossible to have a conversation across lines. We are using the same English words, but they mean completely different things depending on which chamber you inhabit. Definitions shift. History is rewritten to fit the narrative. Nuance is treated as treason. In the echo chamber, complexity is the enemy. Everything must be flattened into a meme, a slogan, or a 10-second soundbite. If you try to introduce nuance, if you say, wait, it's complicated, you are accused of sympathizing with the enemy. So, the most extreme voices rise to the top. The algorithm favors high arousal emotions, rage, fear, and disgust. Nuance does not go viral. Outrage goes viral. Therefore, the leaders of the echo chamber are often the most radical, the most loud, and the least thoughtful. They are the ones who can generate the purest form of the drug we crave, validation. But there is a heavy price for this comfort. That price is self-censorship. This is the spiral of silence. Even within your own tribe, you do not agree with everything. You have doubts. You have questions. But you look around and you see what happens to dissenters. You see the public shaming. You see the digital mobs. So you swallow your questions. You nod along. You perform the rituals of agreement, even when your soul is screaming, no. You become a prisoner in a jail you help build. This self-censorship creates a hollow culture. On the surface, everyone agrees. Underneath, everyone is terrified. We must also address the echo chamber of expertise. We often think this phenomenon is limited to politics or social media, but it infects science, academia, and corporate boardrooms. When a group of highly intelligent experts gathers, they are just as prone to groupthink as anyone else, perhaps even more so, because they are arrogant enough to believe they are immune to it. Entire fields of study can go down a dead-end path for decades because the gatekeepers refuse to publish research that contradicts the established theory. Innovation dies in the echo chamber. Innovation requires the collision of different ideas. It requires the friction of disagreement. If everyone thinks the same, no one is thinking much. Consider the algorithm again. It is not just showing you what you like. It is predicting what will keep you glued to the screen. It has learned that the best way to keep you watching is to radicalize you. It slowly moves you toward more extreme content. If you like healthy eating, it leads you to extreme diet cults. If you like political news, it leads you to conspiracy theories. This is the rabbit hole effect. You don't notice the descent. It happens one video at a time. Until one day, you look up and you are miles away from reality, surrounded only by people who share your extreme delusion. Breaking this cycle requires a fundamental shift in how we view being wrong. In the echo chamber, being wrong is a humiliation. It is a loss of status. To escape, you must fall in love with being wrong. You must view being proven wrong not as a failure, but as a victory. It means you have learned something. It means you are less wrong today than you were yesterday. This requires a total detachment of your ego from your intellect. You are not your ideas. You are the thinker of your ideas. If your idea is destroyed, you are not destroyed. You are liberated. We must also recognize the illusion of choice. We think we are choosing our beliefs freely. But are we? If your news feed is curated, if your friends are filtered, if your search results are personalized, how much free will do you actually have in forming your opinion? You are walking through a maze where the walls are invisible, but the path is predetermined. To truly think freely, you must hack the maze. You must introduce chaos into your own system. You must deliberately confuse the algorithm, like things you don't like. Watch videos from the other side. Read books that make you angry. Force the machine to show you the full spectrum of reality, not just the slice it thinks you want. This brings us to the concept of intellectual humility. It is the quiet acceptance that you do not know everything, that the world is far more complex than your ideology can explain. The echo chamber sells certainty. It sells simple answers to impossible problems. But reality is messy. Reality is full of contradictions. If your worldview can explain everything perfectly, it is probably a fantasy. Real thinking involves uncertainty. It involves holding two opposing ideas in your mind at the same time without going crazy. The echo chamber cannot survive ambiguity. It demands absolute loyalty to the narrative. But the truth is rarely pure and never simple. By accepting ambiguity, you become immune to the seduction of the chamber. You stop looking for a savior and start looking for the truth. You stop looking for a tribe and start looking for wisdom. This is a lonely path at first. When you step out of the chamber, the silence is deafening. You lose the constant dopamine drip of validation. You lose the false sense of superiority. But what you gain is your mind. You gain the ability to look at a problem and see it from 360 degrees. You gain the power to empathize with people you fundamentally disagree with. You become a bridge in a world of walls. And in a world that is tearing itself apart, the bridge is the most dangerous and necessary thing to be. We are not done yet. We have diagnosed the disease. We have mapped the prison. In the next part, we will forge the key. We will discuss the practical daily habits you must build to dismantle the walls. We will talk about how to rebuild your attention span, how to conduct steel manning instead of straw manning, and how to find the courage to speak your truth, even when your voice shakes. The exit is visible, but you have to walk through it. We have reached the final stage. We have mapped the prison walls and understood the psychology of the guards. Now we must forge the key. The first tool you need is a technique philosophers call steel manning. In the echo chamber, we are trained to do the opposite, straw manning. We take the weakest, most ridiculous version of an opposing argument, and we destroy it to feel superior. It feels good, but it makes us stupid. Steel manning is the discipline of constructing the strongest possible version of your opponent's argument. Before you disagree with someone, ask yourself, can I state their position so clearly and fairly that they would say, yes, that is exactly what I mean? If you cannot do this, you have not earned the right to disagree. You are arguing against a ghost. When you practice steel manning, something profound happens. You stop seeing the other as a cartoon villain. You begin to see the logic, the values, and the fears that drive them. You may still disagree, but your disagreement will be based on reality, not on a caricature. This is how you turn a battle into a conversation. The second tool is reclaiming your attention. You cannot think deeply if you are constantly distracted. The echo chamber thrives on speed. It wants you to react, share, and scroll within seconds. Nuance requires time. Wisdom requires silence. To break free, you must rebuild your attention span. This means embracing deep work and deep reading. Read books, not just headlines. Listen to long-form conversations, not just sound bites. Force your brain to process complex, contradictory information without reaching for the dopamine lever. You must become comfortable with boredom. It is in the spaces of boredom and silence that original thoughts are born. If you are always consuming, you are never creating. You are just a repeater node in the network. Disconnect to reconnect with your own mind. The third tool is the courage to be disliked. This is the hardest part. We are biologically wired to fear social rejection. In the past, being kicked out of the tribe meant death. Today, it just means being unfollowed or criticized. But the fear feels the same. To leave the echo chamber, you must accept that you will disappoint people. You will lose friends who only liked you for your compliance. You will be called names. You will be misunderstood. You must decide that your intellectual integrity is worth more than your social comfort. This is the price of freedom. If everyone agrees with you, you are probably not thinking hard enough. Seek out the cognitive dissonance, that uncomfortable feeling when you encounter a fact that contradicts your worldview. Do not run from it. Lean into it. That pain is the sound of your mind growing. Stop living in a prefabricated house of ideas built by algorithms and influencers. Build your own shelter. Examine every brick. Ask, why do I believe this? Is it because it is true, or because it is convenient? Is this a fact, or is it a feeling disguised as a fact? This process never ends. A free mind is not a destination. It is a daily practice. It is the constant work of cleaning the lens through which you see the world. The echo chamber offers you a warm, safe, and comfortable grave for your mind. The world outside is cold, chaotic, and confusing, but it is real. And it is the only place where you can truly live. The door is open. The walls are invisible. You can walk out anytime you want. Are you ready to leave?